Afternoon, everybody. I'm Lee.
And I'm Lee.
No, I'm Lee.
I thought I was Lee.
Maybe you are.
Can I be Lee today?
We might both be Lee. We've certainly both got the same guitars. And we're here to basically give you a quick recap as to why the GT100, or in what ways the GT100 has kind of developed since the GT10 came out. But the acid test of what we're really doing in today's video is we're comparing the amp models in the GT10, which I've got the old GT10 here. It's a bit battered because it's been in Andertons for a few years now, but I've got the old GT10. I've reset it to its factory presets. And Lee here, the other Lee, has got the GT100, also on its factory presets. We thought we'd have exactly the same guitars so that there's no sort of coloration, and we're both plugging straight into an interface, the same interface. So again, there's not like we're using different amps or anything like that. We've both put the same reverb on each processor. So we've got both got a spring reverb, and we're literally just going to show you how the amp models are different. And the reason we're doing that is Lee was explaining to me, and perhaps he'll explain in a bit more detail, that's kind of one of the major reasons why GT100 is better than GT10.
Yeah, they haven't just sort of sprayed it black and put an extra zero on the end. They've really gone to town in terms of the processor. It's a bespoke processor that's been built specifically for the GT100. So as you can imagine, anything that's built specifically for a purpose tends to be better. And this one's 6 times more powerful than the GT10. And they've used that processing power really to get all the responsiveness that you would get from an analog amplifier, and they've put all the effort into that. A whole bunch of new Cosm amp models as well, based on the stuff that they've done with the GT10, so that'll be a really good comparison of the two. And that's where they've gone to town on. Plus the fact, and you should be able to see this, certainly on other demos as well, the interface has changed. It's much, much simpler. You know, flicking through the channels is a lot easier. Getting into the sub-menus is only one click away. And most of it, once you're into the first level of sub-menu, is controlled by the knobs.
Yeah, when we did a video a week or two ago with Lee where we got real close up to the actual dual screen on the GT100 and showed you that. So if you're interested in kind of seeing more about how does it edit, then check that out. One of the cool things was, interestingly, in the clip that you either are about to see of Lee playing or have already seen of Lee playing the GT100 to a backing track, Lee was saying that he'd pre-mixed all that in a pair of headphones before he came down here, and kind of everything sounded great in the headphones. And then we got here and we realized some of the levels weren't quite right, the gain sounds weren't quite right. It might have been the speakers we're listening to or whatever. And what I was impressed with, whereas with old processors, it would have been a question of getting into menus and kind of going, oh, where's my EQ page, and you know, tweaking with that. Yeah, Lee was literally just like you would with a regular amplifier, able to just go, yeah, bit more volume, bit more bass, bit more treble, bang, save, go. It was very, very quick and simple. So we managed to adjust all 4 of the different sounds he was using in about, you know, a minute. So cool. Anyway, let's move on. So in no particular order other than what they come up with, I have found a patch on mine called, if I can find it again, the Clean Twin. And what have you got?
This is just a blank channel ready to be used, and I've got Clean Twin set up and ready. This is the blank sound into.
Okay. I'll do the same actually.
The blank sound just into the desk.
My new favourite chord that Lee just showed me, which apparently is some sort of B minor with a
E minor 11. That's it.
We both on the same pickup?
We are.
We are. We actually had different colour Les Pauls before this demo started, but mine sounded a bit more heritage cherry-ish, and yours was a bit more sort of tobacco-y. Yeah. So we just thought we'd better get the same colour just in case. Anyway, so that's what this sounds like with nothing. I'm using the Clean Twin mode on the GT10. Gain's about halfway up on this. So this is what it sounds like.
And I'm using the same settings on the GT100. Gain set the same, Clean Twin.
I'm not sure if I'm going to use the right word here, but a little bit more organic-y kind of sounding.
It's warmer, isn't it?
A little bit warmer sounding, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so next one we're doing, I've found we've in fact, both patches are called the same. It's called Vo Drive. It's obviously a throwback to a sort of a driven Vox sound. So here's the GT10.
And this is the same processing bitty preampy bit on this.
So technical.
Yes, this is the Vo Drive set with the gain set the same, and here's pretty much the same riff.
Yeah, it's the same thing again. It's just not. It's lost a little bit of that fizz at the top end,
bit of
hasn't
digital
it?
stuff's disappeared, yeah.
Just so you guys know as well, both the processors are set up so that in the sort of system menu, you tell it you're going into an interface, so it should compensate for that kind of fizz, and we've done that on both units. So let's find another one. So this is Match Drive. A couple of riffs again.
Hey!
Yeah.
This is the GT100 set the same.
Cool. I must, fair play, I'm preferring the GT100 tones every time so far. Which is good, as obviously if I wasn't, we'd be sending the GT100 back to Roland going, do better! Right, what have we got next? BG lead, which will be a boogie lead sound. So I will attempt to play some lead guitar with in the key of A.
Okay, and I'll do the same.
So this is the MS, probably a Marshall 1959, so it's a sort of plexi, isn't it?
And this is the same 1959 on the GT100. Can't remember when I was playing Hendrix.
I tell you, it's much better obviously when I play the riff and then Lee has to copy, because obviously when we were doing it the other way round, I was completely mullered every time. So this is a vintage Rectifier.
And this is the vintage Rectifier on the GT100.
Okay, so this is a T amp, which Lee says is a tread plate, so kind of like a modern boogie, I'm guessing. So, and we've drop tuned to drop D for you as well.
Okay, this is the same on the GT100.
Mine is now the Boss Metal. There isn't an exact equivalent on the GT100, but we think they've called it high gain stack, don't we? So these are kind of like Roland Cubey kind of tones. So it's kind of cool though. And believe it or not now, I've run out of amp models on my GT10. That's it. We've done, I think there was a couple that we skipped out because we couldn't find exact equivalents on the GT100, but basically I'm done. So the cool bit now is, rather than listening to me club-handedly go through some riffs here, Lee can just find out all the... I know, I put myself down all the time. Lee can obviously go through, because there what, another maybe 7 or 8 different...
at least seven
maybe more. Okay,
yeah.
so similar kind of thing. I'll just sit here and try and, you know, look interested. This is called Full Range. Combo Crunch. Stack Crunch. This is definitely from the Cubes. I remember this, called Power Drive. Sounded good. This is a jazz tone, I think. It's called Core Metal.
I was about to switch to fingers then.
We actually speeded that up. He doesn't really play it that fast in real time. JC120, this is a sort of a clean jazz tone. Beautiful. Clean twin. Oh, hang on. Deluxe Crunch. We didn't have Deluxe Crunch, did we?
Did we not?
So, Vox lead. There's a second version of the Marshall 1959 on here. We've got some Soldano kind of models here. And finally, for our grand finale, we've got a 5150. So play Eruption. You'd never know, would you? Okay, so that pretty much, I think that concludes our GT100 versus GT10 demo. And I hope all you GT10 owners out there have appreciated the comparison, and it gives you an idea of whether or not you feel like the GT100 is worth going out and upgrading to. Personally, I really like it. I think the tones are a little bit more organic, and definitely it's much easier to use. So thanks to Lee for coming over.
Thanks for having me, Lee.
That's all right, no problem at all. And we'll see you next time.